world, and welcome to the Catacombs Café, where we take a bite out of good books. I am your host, Liv Miles. I'm a paranormal romance author whose Wandering Wolves romance trilogy will be available in its entirety on March 3rd, 2026. But if you want to read the first 2 books as well as the prequel short story for free, all you gotta do is scan that QR code located in the upper right. Oh, I'm pointing that way. That way. In the upper right corner of your screen, and then click on the sub-channel that says free books for my ARC reviewers. And you will have almost all of my books available to you for free. Today, I have selected 3 first chapters from paranormal romance books that should be free today. Always double check, but if you just scan the QR codes listed under our Specials Tonight menu, you will be taken to them directly. And there's also a topic that I would like to talk about today. I like to end these live streams with a final course, a spicy final course, a sweet final course, whatever I feel like cooking up today. And today it's going to be talking about one of my favorite movies, The Princess Bride, because of the brutal murder of its director and his wife the other day. Really not the happiest of subjects, but I've been meaning to share my thoughts on this movie for such a long time, and I feel like that would be the best way to honor his memory, quite frankly. So, oh, people are here. Hi, Captain Erasmus. Hi, Nightbot. Get out of here. Hi, Shaken. And Billy. Well, oh my god, it's a party and I haven't even announced it on social media. Ugh, you guys are amazing. You're great. It's official. Results are in. All right. So real quick, before I dive into ranting about The Princess Bride, well, not even ranting about it, although you'll see, okay? I have thoughts and feelings. They happen occasionally. Let's see. I have tea brewing over this shoulder, that shoulder, and I'm gonna grab it real quick. It'll take like 5 seconds. And I also need to announce on social media what's going on. All right, so here we go. Discord, you're first because you are my favorite, which means we need to pull it out. By the way, if you're not on my Discord, that's the place to be, because that's where I keep my daily writing log, where I pretend that I post every day and tell you how my progress is going. I haven't been doing that. I need to get better about that. My apologies. It's where we hang out. It's where you can find my free books. It's where we go. So I would like to cordially invite you, if you haven't joined it yet, by all means, get in there, because it's a party. Or at least I would love for it to be. Anyway, what are we doing? We're alerting social media to the fact that we exist. That's right. But and I can even see the chat today. Hey, Nightbot, you just sent a link to my Discord. Oh my god, Erasmus, you're savvy. You know how to do the shit. Well done indeed, sir. I'm impressed. I'm glad that I'm, like, despite the fact that I am technologically inept, the people who find me often are not. That is really handy. Because I'm just trying to figure out my life, man. Alright, so I'm gonna go to the announcements tab and just announce that I in fact exist, in case you forgot, you know? You can't believe your eyes anymore. Now I'm gonna go to X. Come here, X. Did you know X and Facebook both penalize you for posting outbound links? So if I were to link my chat, ooh, sunlight right in my face, I love that. Ooh, into that. We're gonna fix that. But if I were to link my stream directly in my social media posts, it would greatly limit my reach, which is why I try to bury the link in a reply, because it doesn't penalize you for that. But it means I gotta take a minute out of my busy schedule on air to post about it. So hey, let's just do it. There we go. Boom. Post. And then, okay, you know what? There's already a link in my thing, so I'm just gonna leave that. And then you, Facebook, you're already typed, and we just gotta hit the button. We're cool like that. Boom. Yes, post it. That's why I'm clicking post. And now I grab my tea. Oh, how are you guys doing? 2 seconds. Yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about poor Rob, man. And listen, right? Like, you know, oh, you're somewhat of a Luddite? Oh, you and me both, good sir. You and me both, thank God. But yeah, the death of Rob, dude. In fact, I kind of feel fired up about The Princess Bride right now. Would you guys mind having dessert first? The final course first? Because you know what? Oh, you know what? This is fucking sunlight. Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, get the fog off my face. Okay, here we are. Tea, all that. All right, you're here. Where did I put down my pen? Dang it, Cliff! You are just like the most discombobulated person in the history of this world. Alright, anyway. Before I was so rudely interrupted by myself. Let us resume. Okay, let's do it. Okay, thank you, Erasmus. Alright, I'm just getting right to the good shit. Really, if I had any sort of like showmanship, I would make you wait through all the books and then give you what you want at the end. But I aim to please, and besides, I have thoughts, and they're going to spill forth regardless. All right, now one thing I would like to do is let's go ahead and make sure I'm not muted this time, because the last time I tried to change scenes, I was ranting to no one for 4 minutes because I was magically muted. So let's try it. Hey, can anyone hear me? Do you hear me? Am I audible? Can you hear me? I'm gonna let you tell me, chat, before I say anything else. Muted. I'm not seeing any muted. And for the record, I did turn on my the sound on my phone, so if someone— yes! Thank you, Captain Erasmus Storm. Much obliged. Thank you, Billy. All right. Cool beans. No thanks to you, Shaken. Wink. We're going all right. We're doing all right. Okay, OBS. Let us begin. Let's get comfortable. Let's get settled in. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say my intro for my YouTube channel as well, because I'm gonna clip this video later and repackage it as its own separate YouTube video. Because you know what? Mama's busy, and you gotta make the most of the content that you create. So, get settled in. Oh my god, this freaking shirt. Stop. Okay. Are we ready? Should we pray? I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Alright. Hello world, and welcome to my channel, where I share my writing journey, talk about books, and even, on occasion, shake things up. Today I'm going to talk about a piece of art that is near and dear to my heart. Unintentional rhyme. Some of the time. Anybody want a peanut? Regardless, that piece is The Princess Bride, and I wish I was talking to you about this movie under happier circumstances, but unfortunately, what brings it to the forefront of my mind today is the fact that the director of this movie, Rob Reiner, and his wife Michelle were brutally murdered in their Los Angeles home a couple of days ago, allegedly by their own son. The facts are still coming in, and I really don't have much to tell you more than that, and I'm sure by the time you're watching this, you'll know more than I do. But I've been meaning to talk about this movie for a very long time, because it is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have it memorized. It is ingrained in my soul. I say that I have it memorized, but I bet you I'll quote it later and mess it up, because that's just how I roll. But I trust you to forgive me. It'll be all right. But I love the movie The Princess Bride. It was a deeply foundational piece of romantic art that shaped how I view storytelling, and I'm gonna talk about it. I want to honor Rob's memory and his wife's memory by talking about one of the greatest pieces of film ever produced. And you may think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not, and I will go ahead and get into why I think that. Anon. So, The Princess Bride really differs from a lot of love stories that you see being told nowadays. I've made no bones about my dislike of the, what should I say, rampant pornography consuming the paranormal romance genre. And don't get me wrong, I'm fine with smut, I'm fine with steam, I don't mind a little spice, that's fine. But I really prefer it when love scenes are saved in a way that elevates the story to an emotional height, a climax, if you will, that is far beyond what it could have reached if the sex was left off the page. Call me old-fashioned. I do. So, The Princess Bride differs from this because it has no sex in it whatsoever. There is some kissing. It is a kissing book, as the boy in the beginning would have us know. But it is the quintessential tale of true love and romance overcoming everything. And that, to me, is... oh, that feeling of like, this love is unassailable. It is so deep that even death can't stop it. I love that. That is a theme that I have taken with me and I look to recreate in my own work. I hope to one day write something as amazing as that film, let me tell you. So, this movie is a great example of a frame tale, for my English literature nerds out there, in that it's a story told within a story. Like many classic works, it's a story being read to another character. Like you've read, well, maybe you haven't read, but you've certainly heard of at least the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, or 1001 Nights by, we're actually not sure, but it's a great film and book. And I would like to note that this is one of those rare instances with movie adaptations, and it might be I'm actually not sure which came first, the book or the movie. But the book by William Goldman I read when I was in 5th grade, and admittedly, it's been so long that I really need to read it again to refresh my memory. But it was one of those rare instances where I actually preferred the movie to the book. And so The Princess Bride, one of the things that makes it so good, as I touched on a moment ago, is that theme of eternal love that conquers everything, even doubt. And what's interesting is that this theme is uncovered, as you may, expect, through the journeys that the main characters take. But what is kind of unique about this story is that Princess Buttercup comes to this realization very early on in the film. She doesn't wait until like 2/3 of the way, or maybe the midpoint turn or anything like that. No, she comes to this realization like maybe 1/3 of the way through the movie, I'm guessing. Like, and spoiler alert, there's going to be spoilers. I can't talk about this movie without spoiling it. So if you haven't seen it and it's going to be ruined by listening to this video, by all means, like this video, subscribe, share it with all your friends, bookmark it, and come back and watch the movie. Okay? But self-interest aside, Buttercup is, she's in love with Wesley. Wesley goes across the sea to seek his fortune and marry her. He dies. 5 years later, she gets engaged to Prince Humperdinck. And she's completely, she's destroyed internally. She even says, point blank, I will never love again. And later on in this movie, like maybe 20 minutes later, a half hour, I'd have to check, but not too much longer, she rediscovers Wesley, that he's alive, he's the masked man in black, and he rescues her from being kidnapped, but he doesn't immediately reveal his identity. It's kind of funny that she doesn't recognize him, to be honest. I mean, if my husband disappeared for 5 years and then returned with like a mask covering half his face, I'd have some questions, but I'd definitely recognize him. For certainly. But, Buttercup's character arc is very interesting to me because she says, I will never love again. And she doesn't. She doesn't love Prince Humperdinck. She just doesn't really have much of a choice. He's a prince. He said, yo, you're marrying me. Enjoy. And she's like, okay, great. And she gets kidnapped, gets rescued by Wesley, and then they have this reunion moment where she says, I will never doubt again. I love that recapitulation of dialogue. She starts out saying, "I will never love again." And then when she gets rescued, again, not very much later, I mean, not too much longer in the movie, well before the halfway point, "I will never doubt again." This theme of love and doubt is just, it permeates The Princess Bride, and it reaches me on a primal level, because what is more fearsome than doubt and uncertainty to us? And what could overcome that but love? It still is the most powerful force in the universe. And I found it to be one of those really poignant recapitulations of the theme in spoken dialogue. And it's one of the ingredients of great dialogue, because it wasn't something that hits you over the head. In fact, that was probably something I missed when I was a kid. But now as a writer looking back, I'm like, ooh, that was good. That was a yummy little morsel. Thank you for that. Then there was, they go through the fire swamp, and I'm not trying to give you a play-by-play of the movie, but sometimes it's just the best way to do it. And she gets taken by Prince Humperdinck again, captured by the actual villain. Like, he defeats all of the smaller bad guys first, figuratively smaller, because of course Fezzik is in fact a giant. But she gets taken by the main bad guy, the two main bad guys, Count Rogan and Wesley. Count Rogan, or not Wesley, Prince Humperdinck, excuse me. Prince Humperdinck takes her, and Count Rogan, as you'll recall, is Inigo Montoya's enemy, the six-figured man who slaughtered his father. And we will get to him in a minute, because he is one of the most fascinating side characters to have ever been written in cinema. Hi, Andy William. Hey, Live Miles Books. Actually, I do whip some commissioned custom anime. Oh, you do? Well, thank you for self-promoting. I'm getting back to what I'm talking about. Bots. You bot folk. Does that ever work? Does it ever work? Derailing conversations? Anyway. So yeah, Inigo Montoya, definitely one of the most fascinating side characters ever written. And let me tell you, I strive to write a side character as good as him. All of the side characters have like a little interesting tidbit about them, kind of. But although most of them aren't particularly developed in this movie, they're likable, they're lovable, you don't really know much about them. But Inigo's an exception to that. And if there ever was someone who deserved his own movie, I would like to submit that Inigo Montoya's story, from the time that he was an 11-year-old watching his father, a master swordsman, craft a sword, getting slaughtered in front of him by the six-fingered man when he's 11, going on to become one of the best swordsmen in the world purely to seek vengeance upon the six-fingered man, and getting it. And that brings me to another point, which is that Wesley's character arc is a bit more subtle than Buttercup's, because she kind of just outrightly states it. And then from that moment on, she is done. She is in it. Even when Prince Humperdinck tells her that Wesley is dead, I killed him myself, she says, then why is there fear behind your eyes? Like, she doesn't believe it. She doesn't have proof. She doesn't even have evidence. In fact, she has evidence to the contrary. This guy just told her he's dead. I killed him myself. And he almost did. But she doesn't believe it. And even if he is dead, that's not going to do anything, because death cannot stop true love. All it can do is delay it for a while. So good. So good. So Wesley's character arc. It's more subtle than Princess Buttercup's. In fact, one could argue that I actually don't really see much of a character arc for Wesley. I mean, maybe if I went back and rewatched it and I was specifically looking for it, but he's pretty steadfast throughout the whole thing that I can remember. Akron Sticks, hello, great to see you. I'm glad that I can actually acknowledge you and welcome you into the cafe. By all means, feel free to settle in and have a drink by typing !drink. I would change screens and do it, but I'm worried that I'll completely knock over my whole technical setup and derail myself, but you're welcome to do it. Get in there. So Wesley's character arc to me was a bit more subtle, but there is something that I really wanted to mention about it. Because as I was ranting to myself out loud like a crazy person in preparation for this video, I noticed that the theme of revenge is treated very differently between Inigo Montoya and Wesley. Wesley is given the opportunity to take revenge on the man that plotted murder against his true love and kidnapped her and almost succeeded. He's given the opportunity to take revenge against the man who tortured him to death in a moment of rage. Or almost death. Mostly dead. There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead. Please open his mouth. Focus. And Wesley's given this opportunity. Inigo puts the sword to his neck and says, "Shall I dispatch him for you?" And Wesley says, "No, thank you. Whatever happens to us, I want him to live a long life alone with his cowardice." And he lets him live. That is something that Inigo himself did not do, for whatever reason. And I gotta say, this is one of those moments of moral difference that I had rather early on when viewing this movie. Because quite frankly, I would have said, "Oh, hey, thanks." Yeah. Shuffle him off the moral coil. Because I don't trust this guy, this Prince Humperdinck fellow, who has only demonstrated cruelty. Charm, but cruelty. Throughout this entire movie, I do not expect him to not harm other people. This guy is gonna go back to trying to start an unjust war with Gilder for some reason. It's never really stated why he wants to start this war with a neighboring nation. Again, that's one of those world building details that maybe you could have included it, but even without this world building detail, the movie still worked. Like the antagonists were not particularly robustly developed, and yet the movie was still fantastic. But yeah, revenge is treated entirely differently between these two characters. And it gives you some food for thought. I will say that as much as I admire Wesley's self-control and temperance in that moment, I think it might have been the more moral choice to just off the guy. It might have caused more problems if he got caught, that's for sure. But, you know, minor discrepancy. What's another thing I liked about this movie? There's lots that I like about this movie. What's the easiest to springboard to? Okay, another thing about this movie, and this is where we get spicy, all right? This is where I lose subscribers, where people freak out, because for some reason, it's just impossible to politely discuss politics now. I'm gonna do it, delicately. This movie is not diverse. Oh, it's got giants. It's got Spaniards. It's got all sorts of random creatures. Well, it's got like at least one random creature, which brings me to the topic of ROUSs. We'll come back to that. But it's not particularly diverse. There's like one female character and like maybe 4 bit player extra female characters who kind of dart in for a scene and dart out. We got Carol Kane, who played Miracle Max's wife. We have Boo! Boo! The random villager lady who heckles Buttercup in A Nightmare. We've got the kid's mom in the beginning. Is there someone I'm forgetting? Is there like another woman who pops in briefly? But really, women do not play a big role in this movie, which I'm fine with. Not every movie has to be about us, guys. Not trying to be spicy, not trying to be a pick-me, but can we just cool it with that? Like, get over it. And then if you look racially, I don't think it was diverse at all. I don't recall any other ethnicities involved in this film other than white. I don't even recall any sort of religious representation, if we have to use that silly word. Can you see the scorn in my eyes? Is it evident? Oh, one moment. The wizard's what? The wizard's what? Yeah, Miracle Max. Miracle Max's wife, Carol Kane. That's like the only woman who actually had a couple of lines other than the heckling old lady. But yeah, so not a lot of racial representation. And quite frankly, what do you know? The movie was still amazing and still spoke to something deeper than immutable characteristics, deeper than race, deeper than gender, deeper than your sexuality, deeper than what flag you're flying on your freaking car or on your house. It spoke to a truth about the human spirit, nigh multiple truths about the human spirit, which is what you need to do if you need to be a good storyteller. Hollywood is so focused on checking diversity boxes. And if they were to remake Princess Bride today, which you better not, Disney, come here. Like, don't even do it. Don't touch it. Because they would make Wesley like a pansexual, gay, whatever. Someone's got to have like, some sort of revelation about their sexuality. Everyone's got to be a different race. And before you know it, the movie no longer makes sense. It no longer makes thematic sense. It ruins the world building because you have to ask yourself how all these different diverse characters come together in the first place. What kind of place is Florin? What kind of place is Gilder? It completely takes me out of the story because every time someone has like a ham-fisted like moment to explain their sexuality, everyone can ask about each other's pronouns. That'll be good. Like, we need to focus more on making good movies that actually reach people, not checking off boxes on a stupid freaking list to adhere to a political ideology that really does not make the world a better place anyway. Well, I feel better. Do you have any idea how long that's been eating at my soul? Don't remake The Princess Bride. And god damn it, if a spin-off is to be made detailing Inigo Montoya's life, which in theory I would love, but if it's just gonna be what Rings of Power is to Lord of the Rings, don't do it. Don't touch it. Just let the people over on fanfiction.net or wherever people are writing fanfiction nowadays, let them do it. Because I'm sure some random fanfic writer at this point could do a better job than Hollywood. And that is sad. That's why I don't watch movies from, the last decade or so anymore. They better be really good. They better be really good, because I'm just not bothering. Okay. Anyway, now that I got that aside, there is one more thing that eats at me about The Princess Bride a bit, though, and I'm just gonna laugh about it, okay? I'm not trying to critique the movie, but you know what? We're here. We're I was gonna say we're here, we're queer, and we're getting used to it, but it doesn't really make sense, I guess, in accordance with this video. Anyway, the ROUS is in the fire swamp, and Princess Buttercup's handling of a near-death encounter when this said ROUS, rodent of unusual size, jumps upon Wesley and rips open his shoulder. I've got questions about this scene, okay? And this scene scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. It was one of those where you pull the blanket over your head and you're just like, okay, let's just have this end now. Like, it's actually scary. And you know what's funny is that there were two actors who played the ROUS, and one was better at scurrying and the other was better at like snarling and looking like a crazy motherfucker. They should have hired me. But and one of the guys was arrested on his way to the set. I guess he had a warrant out for his arrest. I'd have to review the footage to see why exactly he was arrested, but they had to come, I think it was Rob Reiner actually, had to come and bail him out so he could do the filming for the movie because they needed two people to play the rat. But regardless, Buttercup's handling of this rat, I'm not persuaded. Because if you take a look, she's got like the stick, right? She's got like the stick, but she's not like holding it like an axe. That she's not holding it like a bat, and she's not even holding it like a golf club. She's got it like she's kind of poking it like it's a fire, like it's a campfire situation. We're not stoking the rat, okay? We're not stoking the rat. Hit it. And you cannot tell me that a farm girl who was a farm girl all of her life until like 10 minutes ago has never had to hit a rat with a stick. Like, what do you think medieval vermin control was like? Do you just call up fucking 1-800 pest control and have them throw a bunch of crap in your house for $500? No, like, you had to get in there, like, you got yourself a dog, you got yourself a cat, or you got yourself a stick. Those are your options. Choose accordingly. And I just think that she would have been able to wallop that fucking creature a little bit better. I get that it's scary, I get that it's shocking, but this is nothing that you, a medieval peasant woman, has not seen before. I mean, fuck. If Rose DeWitt Bukater from Titanic, a first-class Edwardian aristocrat, can pick up a frickin' axe, right? And heave it over her head, whang, and chop Jack down from that frickin' pipe with the handcuffs. Remember that scene? Yeah, if she can pull that off, then you, Princess Buttercup, better show me a little bit better form when you're trying to say save your true love's life. I'm just saying I wasn't convinced by that. I think she would have done a better job. But at least she wasn't a freaking boss babe. Isn't that nice? There's another thing I love about this freaking movie. Women were allowed to be women. Buttercup's strengths did not come from the fact that she's like, I'm an independent boss babe and I don't need a man, I don't need nobody, I'm so bitter and snarky and grr. No, she did exhibit moments of helplessness. Her femininity, her strength came from her indomitable loyalty to this man. She didn't live in his shadow. She wasn't like, you know, just this useless damsel in distress, but she had some gumption. But it was expressed in a very feminine way, and I enjoyed that. It's about time that we stop demonizing men for being men and women for being women. It's okay to admit that the sexes are not the same and that we're biologically hardwired for different behaviors. It is a good thing. And no, I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to this rule. But what I'm saying is that we're really doing a number on ourselves, and by proxy storytelling, by denying truths about human nature. Let's stop doing that. We don't have to do this. So, loved that. What else did I love about this movie? It's just, I know that once I turn off this camera, I'm gonna think of a million other things that I love about it because it's just so good and it's so well written. And here's the thing, it wasn't even meant to be like this huge, epic freaking saga. This isn't like a Lord of the Rings extended edition that you're gonna sit down and watch all day and just be blown away by, which is also one of my favorites. And we can have a video about how great Lord of the Rings is as well, because I would also dare say that that is high art. I would put it up there with The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. That is how much, that is the high regard in which I hold Lord of the Rings. Forgot about you, T. Hello. But yeah, there's a lot that I could say about The Princess Bride, and I know there will be more. What else? What else was great? What else was great? You know, the ending was a great example of an ambiguous ending. John Truby's Anatomy of Story talks about how an ending that isn't exactly certain and kind of leaves your reader with a question mark is actually a great way to hook your audience. And not just for leaving open for sequels, but it leaves them with that lingering question in their mind that they want to keep thinking about. And I remember the narrator saying in the story, you know, the grandfather, Peter Falk, they rode to freedom, and as they reached for each other, and then it cuts, and, you know, he has his moment with the grandkid, but it doesn't say what they do after. And I kind of wanted to know, yeah, what is your plan now? You escaped the prince, who is still alive, and could still come after you for vengeance. You didn't kill him, and he's humiliated by you snatching up his bride and riding off. So that could be a thing. But it doesn't really say where they're going or what they're doing. It just says they rode to freedom. Like, that's the story we were telling, and that's it. That's what you get. Some people might, you know, have an issue with that and say, no, you need a more definitive ending for the story. You need to button everything up little nice and neatly. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with the Troopster on this one and say that a little bit of ambiguity is not always a bad thing. Drat! Hello! It's so good to see you! You made it! It's okay if you can't stick around, but I am always happy to see you, and I'm so glad I actually caught you while you're, like, here, and not, like, just yammering at you, post-stream to myself, or trying to hit you up in your own Discord, like, I'm so sorry! You and Captain Erasmus, you both stopped by, and I missed you both because I ineptly hid my chat, so sorry about that. Thank you for coming back. So yeah, ambiguous endings are not necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. I think they absolutely have their place, and of course, from the perspective of a paranormal romance writer, his books are available below, and you can get for free that way, that way, by scanning that QR code and clicking on the channel that says free books for my reviewers. Just review it on Amazon and Goodreads, please. Anyway. But it's just something to take note of if you're someone who cares about storycraft and you want to create a story that actually moves people, rather than checking off a bunch of diversity checklists, denying truths about human nature, and hoping that people will just hand you money when you gave them something that was more about virtue signaling and adhering to an ideological orthodoxy rather than reaching deep into the human heart and pulling something out. What good tea? This is great tea. What is this? Oh, it's peach. No wonder. So, in short, oh, there is one more thing before I close. There is one more topic that I can wax psychotic about, which is how different the book The Princess Bride by William Goldman was from the movie The Princess Bride, directed by the amazing Rob Reiner, who unfortunately is no longer with us and is the reason why I chose to film this video today. God rest his soul. Because the film really drove home truths about human nature, like I said, about love, about doubt, about the importance of doing the right thing, that the book simply didn't. And I do need to reread the book. I'm not trying to slam William Goldman's work, but the film, in my opinion, did a better job. In the book, Wesley hits Buttercup. Like, he strikes her right across the face like, bitch, sit down. And admittedly, that was before he revealed himself to be her love, but I remember reading that when I was a kid, and I was like, there's no way he would hit her for giving him a little sass. Like, even if he was pretending to be, like, a bad guy, I just can't see him laying his hands on her. And it kind of took me out of that, like, oh, this is true love? Really? That? Didn't do it for me. Sorry. The ending also left something to be desired. And there was a sequel. I think it was called Buttercup's Baby. I haven't looked into that, and I haven't checked it out. If anyone's read it or can recommend it or not recommend it, by all means, let me know. But to me, the film just did a better job. The book was great, and it laid the groundwork, if in fact it did come first, but the movie was just, it was just so much better, in my opinion. I just heard my baby cry upstairs, but it sounds like he might be settling back down, because I only heard him cry once. So we're gonna just try to keep going. At least I got my Princess Bride rant out. Oh, there it is. Let me close. In short, The Princess Bride was a masterwork of film and storytelling, and modern-day cinema has yet to eclipse any of its greatness. Rob Reiner did a fantastic job, and regardless of what you think of his political views, the guy knew his shit when it came to storytelling, and he set a great example for the rest of us storytellers to follow. And the message that he left behind in the form of his art regarding love, doubt, uncertainty, and the power of love to overcome everything, even death, will resonate through the centuries to come. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it, comment, share, subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell to turn on all notifications. And by the way, I live stream now. If you're watching this and you've noticed this cute little background, that's because I'm clipping it out of my live stream, and you should come hang out because it's a lot more fun there. Trust me. You hear that? That's my own little, my own rodent of unusual size. I'm kidding. I love him. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Godspeed. All right, back to the storefront. How's that, everybody? Thank you, thank you. Yes, there was a book. Oh, he's my man. I have me a man. Would you like to sit and chill for a minute? I love you. All right, let me mute this. So sorry. 1 minute. Hey, hey. Where is my mic? Oh my God. We're partying. Hello. Okay. I think that's all I get for today. I'm afraid. Much shorter than I thought. I'll see you guys later. Farewell. Au revoir. And thank you so much.